you so much. So please, let's go to the next slide. Slide 2. Yes, thank you so much. So how many of us are familiar with this painting? Some of us follow paintings, and I'm wondering whether any of us have come across this painting. Please, let's show by hand. Okay, I'm not getting any hand raised, meaning that none of us may be familiar with this. This painting is dubbed The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali. And what can we say about it? We see time, about 3 pictures of time. What do we make of it? As much as possible, please, let's interact so we make it exciting for both sides. Can I call somebody? I want voluntary contributions. Yes, Dr. Sarah, please go ahead.
Let me just try. Okay, so there are 3 different time indication at 3 different points, which might be 3 different activities competing for your attention all at the same time, and you have to find a balance between them.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah. Who else will have a try? Who else will have a try?
I can give it a go. So
yes, please go ahead.
The way that the clocks are looking, it's as if they're hanging off something that you could easily lose them. So for me, I think it's giving off a message that there's a possibility of being able to lose the time in some way. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sarah. Thank you, Olive. So yes, we are researchers and we indeed have to deal with time. Sometimes it may seem like time is melting away as we navigate our careers. And we sometimes ask ourselves, we started and we had timelines, but how come these times just flies away without us even realizing where the time has gone? But the big question is that, is it a problem of time, or it is just a problem of how we have organized ourselves and our activities within the time? We must realize that time is constant. If you have 2 hours, we have 2 hours for this engagement, and these 2 hours are constant, or this 2 hours is constant. We need to manage our activities within these 2 hours to ensure that we achieve whatever aim we have to make ourselves efficient at what we do. And so we can't blame time, but we can actually organize ourselves within the time that we have allocated for us. Some of us have 4 years to complete fellowship. Some of us have 3 years to complete our fellowships. And we need to maximize time by organizing ourselves to fit within the time. So that is the whole idea of what we want to do with this module. And please, can we go to the next model? Yes. Sorry, the next slide. Yes. So like I've mentioned, we are researchers and we have a lot to do. There is a lot that goes on in our minds and in our workspaces. And like I have mentioned, do we rush time, or we fit organize ourselves? I have mentioned the fact that the time is constant and our memories are also limited in capacity. And so if care is not taken, we lose track of important things within the time space that we have for this fellowship. And another question I have lingering on my mind is that if we are unable to meet our targets as we have scheduled for ourselves, would we say that it's a problem of having too many things on our plates? Because you have to research, you have to, probably you're a mother, you are a student, you are this, you work in various capacities. So would you say that there is a lot on your plate, or you think that it's a matter of your organization? Probably you disorganized yourselves, and so you are unable to make the time as has been scheduled for you. So how can we track what we do, all the things that we have to do within the time allotted for this program, and still be efficient at it? Because if we are not careful, we will have so much to do that it will result in a lot of stress, which will come from the numerous activities that we have to do. So in the next slide, we are going to consider 3 tools for activity management, or let's say time management. We have mentioned that as for time, it is constant, but we need to manage our activities to fit within the time. So we will look at 3 tools for activity management as we navigate through the course of our fellowship. So the first one has been projected. You see sticker as a post-it note, or a sticker, post-it or sticker notes over there, where you see the larger placard where we've take some notes there, that don't forget to be this, don't forget your lunch, today is music day, maybe relaxation day, and all that. So all in all, we have external memory aids, and this post-it note can be served as one of them. So if we have the stickers, you can paste these stickers at key locations in the office, maybe at home or in both places. And so let's give examples. You can have physical reminders. So you have it, you can post it at your door, behind your door. You can decide to put it in your bag, maybe stick it somewhere in your car, or even on your desk, to keep reminding yourself that you need to do this particular activity within this space of time. The second external memory aid we can use is our diary. A lot of us have our diaries, but we don't actively use our diaries. You can remind yourself of things you have to do by actively using your diaries to track and also guide the activities that you have to do. And all of us use phones these days. And the phone is also a great tool to use as an external memory aid, where you can use to do list apps. There are several apps that are used for to-do list, or to manage a to-do list. We can also set reminders, alarms, or alerts to do specific activities at specific times in the day. In the next slide, we are going to look at Eisenhower matrix, the Eisenhower matrix. In the Eisenhower matrix, we see this 2x2 matrix, which divides activities into 4 types based on the level of importance and urgency. Steph, please, can you hit once more? Yes, thank you. The first type of activity we must consider is the fact that some activities are very important to us and they come with some level of urgency. These we call critical activities. So, for instance, if you have a grant proposal with a deadline, this is a very critical thing, because if you don't meet that deadline, it comes with grave consequences. If you miss that deadline, it means that you've missed an opportunity for an important grant, which is going to help your career. And that is quite unfortunate. And so if it is important and urgent, we must pay attention to them. There are Now, the second one, there are other tasks which are very important but not so urgent that we call important goals. So, for instance, we all know that after the fellowship, we probably have ideas on where we want to work, how we want to move on. And so you want to find opportunities for these plans, right? So maybe job hunting or applying for a particular job. Yes, it is an important goal, and you must dedicate some time to that. So you can decide that I am dedicating a particular time, maybe my evenings, to searching for this job and applying for this job. So if it is important but not urgent, we can set time aside for these activities. Unlike the important and urgent ones that need attention now, for the important and not so urgent ones, we can set time aside to attend to them. Now, the third one, we have other assignments that are not important, but they are urgent. And these we call interruptions. So your colleague may have a deadline to meet and is counting on you to support him or her. You must also look at your timetable, look at the things that are on your table. If especially you have critical and important activities to undertake, this maybe request for help from your colleague may be an interruption. And a lot of the times we are unable to say, I'm really sorry, my colleague, I have very critical activities to attend to, so I'm unable to help you at this time. So get help. But from today, we must learn that if it's an interruption, we must be able to unashamedly explain that I would have loved to really help, but not now. I have other critical and important things to achieve. Then we also have the fourth one, which is also the last one, distractions. I believe all of us sometimes get distracted, especially with the phones that we have in our minds. Sometimes you realize that there are things you have to do on the phone that are not important, that are not urgent. Maybe you can say that I want to look at trends on TikTok, or I want to go view what is on the status of my friends. That is not important. That is not urgent. And as much as some people will say that they are doing that for maybe relaxation, you must also consider whether they are critical and important things on your table. And we encourage all of us to minimize the distractions or avoid them totally, especially if we have critical and activities or important activities to undertake. Does anyone have any questions at this time? Let's quickly take them. Anyone with any questions or any inputs? We can take them now and then we go on. Okay, it looks like we are following. So the next slide, we have the Gantt charts for project management. The Gantt chart is a tool for planning out the stages of a project, especially in fellowship, in sequence. It helps us to order our activities and fix timelines on them to guide our progress. You can draw this with Excel. You can use your Word to just draw the table and guide yourself with the Gantt chart, or probably use Excel to do that. When we are done, we will send you a link to, among the materials that will come to you, there is a link on AbleBits that gives some tutorial on how you can develop the Gantt chart and then follow it to maximize your efficiency on your fellowship. the next slide, slide 7, I think, yes. Now we are going to look at some tips for managing activities and being productive. So in the next 2 or 3 slides, we will discuss, or I'll discuss some of the tips we have placed or we have suggested for to guide your fellowship in work-life balance. So we said don't procrastinate. If we are saying don't procrastinate, we are saying prioritize. I just spoke about the Eisenhower matrix. You can employ it to direct what you do at what point in time. The second is the big thing that we all sometimes find difficult doing. Sometimes it is difficult for us to say no. We saw that in the Eisenhower example I gave about the distractions. So sometimes we feel that it is difficult to say no. Sometimes we feel that when we delegate, people will not do the things as we want them to do. But of course, we can guide them and teach them on what to do to be able to maximize time for ourselves. And we know that we all need help once in a while. And so don't hesitate seeking help when, or saying no when you have to say no, or seeking help when you have to do that through delegation. Again, the third one, we can use smart scheduling and focus to organize ourselves or to create a balance in our activities. I would like you to monitor. Some of us know, some of us are not too sure. When do you work best, or when are you efficient? What time of the day are you very productive? You need to identify that time and schedule the most challenging task on our tables around that period. For instance, I am a night person, and so sometimes if I have to write certain proposals or do critical activities, I would want to fix time in the night to do that, because it gives me a lot of room to be productive. The distractions, interruptions are few, and I'm able to focus and do a lot of work, achieve a lot at that time. Again, we must also box off time where we won't be distracted. So, for instance, we can say that in the next 2 hours, I'm going to focus on writing this proposal. My notification alerts are going to be muted. My phone probably is going to be on mute, probably away from me, so that I can be able to focus on what I have to do within the 2 hours. After the 2 hours, we are able to do other things. In fact, a recent study suggests that if you go and sit by your desk to work and you start by checking your emails, you don't become productive, because as you work, you are distracted by in your mind, you are distracted by some of the demands from the email. So, hey, my boss said I should do this. You get distracted and you want to go and do that and come back to your work. So we advise ourselves to finish our work before we go and check our emails. Now, the next point we want to talk about is giving ourselves breaks and rewards. Some of us appear to always find satisfaction in working all the time. You're on the move. That is good, but you know that this also comes as a challenge and demand on your stress levels. And so you want to give yourself breaks when you feel tired or when you have worked to capacity and you feel you are becoming less productive. Again, you can also reward yourself. Maybe after 2 hours of writing, the introduction, or maybe the theoretical chapter of my work, I want to reward myself by maybe going out to pick an ice cream if your body would tolerate it, or to get myself a cup of coffee, something as small as getting yourself a cup of coffee, to a bigger one like maybe going on holidays, if or sightseeing if you can afford it, your budget can tolerate it. So let's give ourselves break. Let's reward ourselves so we can keep going. The next one to talk about is boundaries, establishing boundaries around work. Now, we know that there is a tendency to take work to the family space, and take issues in our family space to work as well. That is a tendency, and it's natural for us to do it, to do that if we are not conscious. So we want to consciously find barriers or create barriers around our workspaces. If you are going to work, focus on the work. You have a plan to write a proposal, focus on writing that proposal. When you finish and you come home, find that balance as well at home. Concentrate on work at home or on task at home, so that none of these spaces suffer. Sometimes it's either our work is suffering, or our family lives or other areas of our lives suffer. And so let's consciously create those barriers and ensure that we are going by the boundaries that we have set for ourselves. The next one we will talk about it, start small and build up. Yes, we have talked about this. We have reminded ourselves of creating a balance in our workspace, and again in other areas of our lives. If you are not careful, somebody will think that immediately I must find a balance. But if you start with aggression, it may not necessarily work. We encourage ourselves to, our little ways, integrate some of these balances in our daily activities. So if you have to relax, fix a time of relaxation in your daily routine, so that with time it becomes a part of you. You know that it's interwoven into your activities, and so you don't struggle doing them. Don't start big and then all of a sudden you are tired and then you leave it. Let's gradually integrate them into our daily routine. And I would want you to ask yourself from today or right now, maybe as you answer, you can share your answer, or you can write the answer down. What one thing can you change about how you manage your activity beginning next week or even today? What one thing would you want to change? If you want to share, I'll be glad to hear that. If you don't want to share, just write that answer in your diary somewhere and commit to doing that. Once you perfect that, you look for another thing you would want to change. Maybe, since nobody is sharing, let me give an example. Maybe the answer may be that I want to stop procrastinating from next week. So if you want to stop procrastinating, it means that you must have your plan and follow the plan. Don't listen to what your body is telling you, that, oh, this thing you can do it tomorrow. Immediately you have to do it, so that you master, or you have a master over the tendency to procrastinate. Thank you. So I have an example. Somebody may want to say that, well, I want to start work at 9 a.m. every day. And you commit to doing that. Start 9 a.m. every day. You are by your desk and you are working. The next one that we'll talk about is our health, our diet, exercise. as much as we have a whole lot to do, we are practitioners. You agree with me that stress impacts our health, psychologically, physically. And so we must consciously be mindful about our health so that if there are routine checks you have to do, maybe every 3 months, every year, there are routine checks you have to do. Don't compromise it because you have a lot on your table. Fix it in your routine and ensure that you are attending to these health checks. If you are on medication, the tendency is that you could be so busy that you may not take medication on schedule. You can still use your phone to alert you that 9 a.m. you have to take this medication, 3 p.m. you have to take this medication, midnight you have to take this medication, so that you constantly take your medication, right? So let's be mindful of our health, because as the parlance goes, good health is good wealth. We need our health to continue on this journey that we have set for ourselves. Then our diet. We need to be very mindful what we are putting in our body. And I believe that we are all conscious of what the body tolerates and what the body cannot tolerate. In fact, as we are growing, we need to identify what is good for us, what is not good for us. But I will make two suggestions. Hydration, drinking water intermittently is very important when we want to talk about our health. So we need to consciously put in water or hydrate the body. Another thing I've also identified is the fact that with our diet, when we feel overwhelmed, some of us will choose taking caffeinated beverages over probably rest. And you know that the body is heightened under stress. You add in caffeinated beverages, and that may not be too good for you. And so, our diet, let's pay attention to what goes in, because it definitely will reflect in the output. Then, exercise. By exercising, we are not saying that go to the gym, lift the metals, or run like this example we have on our screen. Yes, do exercises that you can tolerate, that you can manage. The rule is consistency. Okay, so if it is walking that you can do consistently, you know that you can't tolerate running because you probably are not carved out for that. But you can do your swimming. Just find what is suitable for you and do it. And the game plan is consistency. Consistency. So let's think about that. Whatever you do to ensure that the body is being utilized or you are exercising parts of the body is very important. Now, I will add one tip from senior researchers from previous training. They have encouraged us to invest in human relationships, which we will sometimes call the social support. It is very important to get people in our lives that will support us through this journey. And so let's make conscious effort to ensure that we are building relationships that will support the course of our journey. Now, this final slide is looking at it's a picture of a highlining activity. You see this man gently, carefully navigating the highline with a lot of efficiency. And I'm very sure that he navigates to the end, to completion. And that is what we are all looking out for. The journey may not be that smooth. We may have our challenges, but what we are encouraging ourselves to do is to consciously control our activities within the time that we have, to ensure that we have a balance between the work we are supposed to do and other areas of our lives. We don't want to lose other areas of our lives after we are done with our fellowship. We want us to be intact. There have been times that people complete their fellowship and then they are saddled with some health challenges here and there. But we want to navigate carefully and come out with a lot of efficiency, in good health, with all aspects of our lives in a balanced state. So now I will leave time for questions and inputs. Maybe you want to share your own experience, how you are doing it. Maybe you want to ask a question. This is the time. And before you go ahead, since we are waiting for you to raise up your hand and speak, I want to mention that Steph or myself will send materials to you for further reading. We have some materials that you can rely on for further reading and use. So that will come after the module. Thank you very much. I await questions, share your experiences, make inputs so that a colleague here on the platform will also pick a lesson or the other from it. Yes, Olive, please unmute and speak to us.
Thanks, Joanna, for that quite insightful presentation. I think it's quite important, the things that you've highlighted. For me, I just wanted to get a bit of some clarity on two things. The first one is on the Eisenhower metric, and whether you'd be able to shed more light on how this looks like in real life. Is it something that you intentionally did to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and try to arrange all my activities based on this, or is it a mental process that you're constantly doing from time to time? So just to get your tips around how best to utilize it. I don't know if I should wait for a response, or I should ask the next question.
Please ask the next question and then I will answer both.
And I think the next thing was if you'd be able to highlight how one would be able to balance between rewarding yourself and entertaining a distraction, because I think there's a thin line. You could easily tell yourself, okay, I'm rewarding myself, and yet that's not actually a reward, but rather a distraction. So how one can easily look out for that thin line so that you don't end up falling in the wrong place. So those are the two questions that I had.
Thank you very much, Olive. So if you look at Steph, please can you project the Eisenhower matrix for us, if you are able? Steph, please. Yes. Okay, great. Thank you. And so, we are on a journey and we have given ourselves time for this fellowship. You know that even without this fellowship, there were several things on your table that you have to do. And this fellowship is also kind of demanding. So if you are not consciously planning your life, you realize that, like I mentioned, either the fellowship is suffering or other areas of your life will suffer. And so this is a conscious thing you have to do. There are several things that bombard us daily. And before you take action, you want to find out whether this is important and urgent. And so, for instance, you've been asked to, like I mentioned, maybe you have to go for a family meeting. Is it very important and urgent? Can somebody stand in my stead for this? It may be competing with maybe a term paper you have to write with deadline. This term paper is important, more important and urgent than going for that family meeting at that time. Because you agree with me that you may be able to call somebody to stand in your stead if you have to attend that family meeting. And so this is an exercise that we must consciously do. And it comes with planning our activities. So for instance, if you have your weekly plan, you know that this week, these are my deadlines. These are the activities I have to do within the deadlines. And that means that these are very important to you. They are urgent to you or critical to you. And so other things that come as a way of interruptions and distractions must be controlled. Sometimes you can't do away totally with it, but you must consciously control them. Right. Then the second question, reward being distraction. If you have planned your activity very well, you know that maybe the morning it from, let's assume 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. These are the activities I've outlined for myself. By, let's say, 5 p.m., I must probably be tired. So I will reward myself if I have been able to achieve the goals for the day. And so you have also planned with that reward in mind. If you have not finished the assignment for the day, then you think of probably not rewarding yourself as a punishment for yourself, right? That Joanna, tomorrow, if you're able to achieve your goals, then you take that reward that is there for you. The reward must be something satisfying. Okay, so for instance, if I love movies, I could say that in the next hour, I'm going to take one movie and watch, maybe up to some point, or I'm watching everything till end. Okay, so all these things come. That's why I mentioned that you are not looking at it as starting big, but you gradually infuse some of these plan in your daily routine so that you can be able to master prioritization of certain areas of your life. I don't know whether you are okay with the answer given.
Yes, that's pretty
Olive,
helpful.
are you okay? Great. Thank you very much, Olive. Any other, please? I guess we can take one more. I would have loved to hear an experience, some of you sharing an experience. It could be an experience that is negative and how you have mastered it, or it could be what you are doing now that has become very helpful. Okay. Steph, it doesn't look like we have any more. Okay, Blessing. Blessing's hand is up. Blessing, please, let's hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation, and it has really touched most of the expectations that I had. But on the rewards, I was like on my personal point of view, I enjoy watching soccer or football, I should say. So the time that is lost there, I'm looking at it to be losing quite a number of hours that I can do something. So with the presentation, I'm looking at it that you are asking me to probably to shake off some of the habits that I do have. I don't know if I'm right because if I would like to reward myself, let's say to watch a movie, that may take me an hour or so. If I'm watching a football match, that's an hour or so, or even 2 hours.
Sure.
So probably I would confirm to say you are asking to undo some of the habits that are time wasters. Thank you.
Thank you. So you've answered the question for us. Blessing, is that so? You've answered the question for us, right? That
Yes, I think
we are
so. I think
looking at.
so.
Yes, thank you. So thank you for that input. So we are looking at prioritizing schedules such that we do away with time wasters. Thank you so much for this. I'm glad to also inform you that we are going to hear from some of our senior colleagues, Dr. Jermaine Dambi and Dr. Lola Kola. I'm sure they are on the line. We want to take just 2 minutes leg stretch. We've been sitting close to an hour. We want to take just about 2 minute leg stretch. So that takes us to, I have 156 here. That takes us to 158. We come back and then we hear from these wonderful leaders. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joanna.
Hello, Steph. I guess that time is up. I'm wondering whether Biggie could introduce guests to the participant.
I don't know if Biggie's there at the moment. Biggie, you
Yeah,
there?
I'm here.
Great.
Thanks, Joanna, for this session. Quite informative, and thanks everyone for I think it was quite interactive. I'll introduce. I'm not sure who's going first. Is it Jermaine or Lola?
Either. I think Jamin should go first. Is okay.
Jermaine, yeah, Jermaine is going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll introduce Dr. Jermaine Dambi. Is a senior lecturer at the University of Zimbabwe, an Amari 1 PhD alumni. and currently a postdoc. So over to you, Joanna, for the interview with Jermaine.
Thank you very much. Lola, you are welcome on the line. Yeah. Jermaine, Dr. Dambi, would you want to show your video or?
Yes,
You want?
I'm showing my video. I don't know if everyone
Great,
can
great,
see.
great, great. Yes, great. Thank you very much. Doc, we are very glad to have you. We've interacted on how we can strike a balance between our work as fellows and then the other areas of our lives. And we know that you have very rich experiences to share with us. So we want to engage you to share your experiences with the participants. Now, kindly tell us about yourself.
Uh, Thanks, Joanna. Hi, everyone, and hi, all Amari fellows. It's such an honor to be interviewed on such a platform. And I think as a takeaway message, yes, I've had my successes and failures, and I'm still working on my work-life balance here. Just as a disclaimer, yeah, I haven't mastered it all, but I'm in the process. So as Biggie has rightfully introduced, my name is Jermaine Dambi. Um, I wear two hats essentially. I'm a senior lecturer at the University of Zimbabwe and the research lead for the Friendship Bench. So research-wise, I'm into global mental health epidemiology. So anything to do with stats and intervention development and assessment, that's really something that I've been working towards in the last few years. So that's the work side of it. So socially, I'm a happily married man and I have two kids and with another one on the way. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's
Wow.
me. Yeah. Then in terms of hobbies, I don't know if you
Yes.
can all see. So I'm primarily a physiotherapist by training, but I'll give context as to why I'm showing you this. So this is my home office,
It's,
and so it's my home office slash gym. I don't know if you can see the equipment, and this is where, yeah, I do most of my
work-life
stuff. Yeah, can you see those two monitors and all? So for me, this is a
balance.
very important space for me. It's work slash gym. This is where I do most of my work-life balance in a nutshell. Over to you, Joanne.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, one thing that I've picked from this is that work life balance is a process. We don't master it in a day, it is a process. Thank you so much. Now, how do you maintain balance between work and personal life? You've made us believe that indeed you have your work as a physiotherapist, researcher, and other things that you do on the side. You have a family as well. How do you strike that balance?
Well, it's a tough one. But I think what I can say is I think you need to be deliberate in terms of striking that balance. It won't come on its own. It's if you think of it, for you to have a work-life balance, it's something that you actually have to take yourself out of your comfort zone and create time. If you think of it, I'm working from home right now, and I know any minute, my 4-year-old son is likely going to be able to, to knock on my office door because he also needs his attention. He's just come from school and all. So how I do it, what has really worked for me is to making sure that I set aside dedicated time. And I'm glad when I joined in, you were talking about prioritization of tasks, right? So I think many times, during the academic journey, especially if you're trying to get started in your fellowship, there'll be demands, from the directors. They want to see your progress. Everyone seems more like interested. Have you started collecting data and or you have clear deliverables that you have to meet? But on the other hand, you're also a social being. So for me, the critical aspect is to really plan in advance to really set aside time, for your work and time for family. And for me, I think what I've really done well over the years is to really develop certain habits in terms of the times that I'm quite effective. So I'm an early person. So I usually wake up very early in the morning if I'm going to the office, get into the office, do my work, and perhaps finish a bit earlier. So I usually start my day at around 5 a.m. That's me. That's not meant to be prescriptive. But why I do that so that I'm home by around 3 p.m. and my kids will be home around 4-ish. So I actually have time to actually spend time with them and even also help them with their homework. So for me, this is how, I've just given an example of how I've kind of come up with deliberate strategies for me to be able to kind of strike that life balance. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, on this, we spoke about maximizing our time within the time space that we are more productive. And I think that you have reiterated that point, and that means that we must take note of that. Find out what time you work better and then maximize your work within that time. You've also mentioned that we need to be deliberate about planning for our work and also finding space for family. And you also mentioned that you have to move out of your comfort zone. I'm sure that waking up at 5 a.m. may not be that earlier than 5 a.m. because you start work at 5 a.m. may not
Yes.
be very comfortable, but you do that so that you can get that 4-ish for the family. Thank you very much. But I also want to find out whether this work-life balance, this routine has always been like this, or it has changed over the period.
Well, I suppose I'll borrow from the words from Prof. Shibanda. I remember one of the lectures that he delivered, it was a talk actually. He was talking about anchors in life. And I think I've really applied that principle. By the way, I think work-life balance is also has to do also with mentorship in a way. You don't need to figure it all on your own. And I'm glad that I'm sure the next Moji is going to talk about mentorship because I think all of these leadership seminars, they feed into each other. It's not mentorship on its own, work-life balance on its own. It has to be, a balance of. But anyway, you spoke about, anchors to know what really matters the most in your life. And for me, there was a time that I actually struggled because I think post PhD, at some point in time, I was really chasing the money in terms of trying to get, the research grants, trying to establish yourself. So in a way, my social life also suffered, even my spiritual life as well. I'm a Christian, and for me, I should spend the whole day. I do my worship on Saturday, and essentially, according to my faith, Saturday it's a day of resting, right? And even the deliberate efforts that I'm now trying to really work towards in terms of creating time for my family, it's at some point in time that also suffered, and there was a bit of a lack of balance in whereby my academic career was on the upward trajectory, but my other facets of my life, were also suffering. But for me, the turning point was, when you start to realize, for me, I felt a bit of emptiness in a way, where, for instance, you have achieved whatever you wanted, you have published the papers, you have attracted, the research grants, but I felt empty really and I had to really go back to the drawing board and also, talk to my mentors, to also share, my feelings at that particular point in time. And everything then pointed to that, mismatch between my career advancement and, my social life and my family life as well. So yeah, I've made mistakes, but I think what's more important is learning from that, and also for all the fellows to understand that you may not get it all right the first time, but I think what's more important is being deliberate and, ensuring that you can always go back, to your anchors, to what matters in your life over and above at the academic journey.
Thank you. So if I get you right, you are reiterating the point that work-life balance is a process. Some of the challenge, or one major challenge, is the fact that you had an imbalance between your academic life and your social life. One was progressing while the other was suffering. But with time, it didn't happen in a day. With time, as you found that balance, you now feel fulfilled, I'm sure. And you mentioned about emptiness. So as much as we are pursuing a career, we also have to identify that we are human beings, and for that matter, social beings. So we need to build both sides to be able to have fulfillment. And you mentioned that mentorship has helped. Mentorship has helped. Fortunately, as you mentioned, we are going to discuss mentorship as one of the modules. Thank you so much for these insightful experiences. Kindly tell us about the sacrifices you have made over the period and maybe some of the regrets over the period.
Yeah. I'll start with the the regrets. Definitely, I think for me, I think it was actually a difficult time for me when I had, that tilt in terms of, my work-life balance. And what I can say is, I think for me, the academic journey has been through it has not been a linear pathway. It has been full of ups and downs. But what had really made a huge difference is when my work-life balance is at harmony, so like right now, if I'm having a bad day, I know that I always have a fallback, I can always lean back on my family in terms of, having that support, because they understand perhaps what I'll be going through, and they can easily pick it because, they can tell that perhaps maybe something's not going all right, in my work life. And yeah, and some of the sacrifices that I had to make. And remember earlier on I said you also need to be purposeful in terms of achieving this. And for me, one of the greatest anchors for my work-life balance is also looking at my physical and the psychological well-being. Perhaps maybe as a physiotherapist, that's why I was showing you all that equipment. So what that I had to kind of invest in my own home gym equipment, because I realized that I think at times I can get too busy and may not find time to actually go to the gym, right? So I had to really make those sacrifices. It wasn't like money that, I had to really budget for this. But what it then has done is it has been much easier now for me to set, to do my routine. Like before this particular call, actually, I had my gym snack break, as I call it. Yeah, because I think I was sitting, since morning and all. So I had to actually run for 30 minutes, take a shower, and reinvigorate and all. So I suppose these are some of the sacrifices. I think the level of sacrifices would vary from person to person. If it means investing in infrastructure that makes you much more productive, even in terms of my writing, I had to buy, two monitors, to ensure that I'm much more productive. So these are some of the sacrifices that I would have used that money maybe to go for a holiday, but for me that was quite important for me to be able to achieve, my career objectives. And the moment you set up an environment which is quite conducive, it's then easier to then subsequently succeed in your goals, and perhaps maybe award yourself if it means deferring certain things, like maybe going for a holiday or buying yourself, the latest iPhone, whatever it may be. But if you make these sacrifices, they will definitely pay off and perhaps work towards attaining that work-life balance.
Thank you so much. So here as well, what I have picked is that we must note that there are ups and downs. We can't do away with that. There are ups and downs if we have to pursue a career in research, a career as researchers or academics. But we must be purposeful in whatever we want to achieve, especially investing in our physical and psychosocial well-being. So you are saying that if we need to sacrifice certain things to ensure that we have invested in our psychosocial well-being, we should do that. So for instance, if I know that I have to go for medical checks every year, I shouldn't consider the fact that I feel good in my body. So why do I do that? I must invest that money in there if I get you right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So now you are more or less a mentor. You're a mentor, and I'm sure that you qualify to mentor the fellows who are up and coming as well. And so, what advice would you give to young researchers or early career fellows?
Okay, wow. Yeah, just to say that I think everyone has the capability to actually mentor anyone, regardless of their, of their stage. So yeah, so I still learn from, my mentees. But I think if you're starting out as a young researcher, I think it's very helpful if you can start, if you can come up with your career, goals, having short-term goals and long-term goals. Because as I said before, the career pathway is likely to be bumpy along the way. But if you have, specific career objectives, that would help you to recalibrate. For instance, as researchers, you are going to be, I trust you're going to be, writing publications, applying for grants, and you will suffer some heartbreaks along the way where your paper is rejected or your grant is rejected and all. But if you have, your career goals, then you always have some way that becomes your reference. You can always go back to your goals. But more importantly, I think for you to get to those goals, be purposeful in terms of, seeking advice, seeking mentorship, and also being deliberate in terms of work-life balance. I'll tell you this, your life is going to get more busy than it is now. And I think through Amari, you are going to discover that your research networks, which I'm hoping that you are also working on, is going to greatly expand. And with that will come a lot of excitement and new opportunities. But with these opportunities, they're going to come into a life with a finite amount of time. So in a way, it always goes back to how are you going to plan? How are you going to use your time? How are you going to prioritize? And more importantly, how are you going to attain work-life balance? With in mind that life goes beyond research, as we are, human beings, and we should look at life at a more holistic approach. Yeah. So, as a takeaway message, if I'm to say it in a sentence, be deliberate in terms of striking a work-life balance.
Wow, life goes beyond research. Life goes beyond research. And he's mentioned that we must be deliberate at a work-life balance. I realize that deliberate, being purposeful, asking for mentorship runs through all that you have said to us this afternoon. So we need to consolidate our career goals to be able to attain work-life balance. Thank you so much. So finally, what are your reflections on your efforts at work-life balance?
I think I see myself as still work in progress, because I think as years have passed by, since the time I finished my PhD, I think my research, I've been fortunate enough in that I think my research areas have also expanded. So with it also comes with extra responsibilities. So over and above, managing, setting aside time for family, I still need to set aside time for my research team to also maybe look at their needs and also kind of, managing the team as a whole. But I think what's more important is being iterative in terms of how we approach things, and not to approach things in a linear manner, but more importantly, just, taking time just to reflect, just to get a sense of, like, these days, I think I'm much more reflecting towards the group dynamics within my team to say, is everything in order? Are we on track in terms of, attaining our milestones? And more importantly, what's the well-being of my team? Because ultimately you'll be dealing with human beings, and at times we may be carried away in trying to achieve, goals. So in a nutshell, it also it's a facet that I'm also still, working towards managing that research, research team and ensuring that I also maintain the momentum in terms of the work-life balance that I've achieved so far.
Great. So on this, what you've made us understand is that work-life balance is still a process, because the more you are achieving, the extra your responsibilities, which means that you must adjust to ensure that you are continuing in attaining that balance. So we are going to use this knowledge for the rest of our lives as we progress in our career and find new opportunities, which comes with extra responsibilities. And you ended by saying that we must be conscious about striking that balance. So deliberate comes in again. Thank you so much, Dr. Dambi. I'm sure we've really learned a lot from you, but we will have time to come back and ask you some questions after we have also listen to Dr. Lola Kula. So thank you so much. Take some breath as we also allow Dr. Lola Kula to share with us.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. So I'll be hanging around for a Q&A
Yes,
later.
please. Yes, please. All right. Thank you so much. Doc, Lola, please, are you ready for us?
Oh, yeah, that's okay. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You
Yeah,
look
okay.
so bright this afternoon.
Thank you.
So, like brother did, we also know that you have a lot of experience when it comes to work-life balance, and we'll be glad you share some of your experiences with us. So kindly tell us about yourself.
Okay, nice to be on this panel. My name is Lola Kola. I'm a medical sociologist. I'm a global mental health researcher. I'm currently affiliated to King's College London and the WHO Collaborating Center, Department of Psychiatry, University of Ibadan. I have a research and policy background, having worked at the WHO at some point in my life. My research interest is in the area of social determinants of mental health in women population, particularly those that are vulnerable in low and middle income countries. I have a special interest in girls, especially the ones that are a little bit undertrodden, like people in domestic child labor, the pregnant ones that are teenagers. So I've used observational, experimental, and community-based research designs to explore this interest. And more recently, I'm shifting towards finding psychological processes to inform therapeutic prevention in this my area of interest. Thank you.
Welcome. Can you share a little bit about your hobbies with us? And maybe family life if you want to.
Okay, yeah, family life. I have two boys.
Great.
I'm passionate about my boys. I hobbies. Well, people that know me a little bit, I don't know. I can almost see Biggie smiling where he is. Hobbies. So yeah, for hobbies, firstly, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I mean, allow me because it's an African setting, so I'll say it without apologies
Sure.
like that. I'm crazy about Jesus, okay?
Yeah.
So that's like it's like a skeleton that everything builds on. It's not always been like that, but just like Jamin was saying, there are things along the line that we have to reorder and then we get better at doing. But in it all, it's that has actually been the pillar of most of things I do. So hobbies, really, I mean, I really would have loved to impress people by saying nice hobbies, but seriously, I really don't have much hobbies. What I like doing free time, I actually like because I sort of had to stop being married to my computer because that's what I knew for so many years, work, research. So, but now I have much. I mean, when Jamie was talking, I was actually picking some very nice things. You know, the fact that there's a sense of emptiness if you achieve so much and you are unable to. I mean, you can't just feel, there's a yearning in every man's soul that you have to feel. So what I like these days, makes me more fulfilled in terms of hobbies because I still have to do my work. I like meditation a lot and listening to grace-based preachers that I love, about two of them. So, and then apart from that, social life, my family, I spend a lot of time with my family, working from home. COVID changed a lot of things. That was a good thing, you know. So as much as I can, I spend time with family. And if it's electronically too, sometimes, yes, that's possible. And apart from that, the other thing I do is I go to the gym. I think because over the years, I worked too much. I just sort of my network of friends are actually very slim, but I have a lot of colleagues, senior colleagues that are, I guess that's what friends are like, you know, that actually can speak to your life, help you. So is my social life is actually built around work life. That's just what I want to tell you too. Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I've just been reflecting on your core mandate, working with women and girls, mostly vulnerable groups. We know that this alone can be very stressful. You also mentioned about the fact that you also work from home sometimes. That could be stressful. And I'm wondering how you have maintained a balance between this or these activities you do and your personal life.
Well, yeah. So I'll talk about what's happening now, not what used to happen. Okay. So how have I maintained the balance now? Firstly, I've realized that there's so much you can do for yourself. In terms of you really can't you really you see, so I'll use this word. I'll just use the fact that the race is not to the swift, not the battle for the strong. You know, but we from Africa, we work hard. That's one thing I know. And I mean, that's just one thing that I've always done. I've worked hard too much in the past. It's not like I still don't work hard. Now it's more balanced, you know. So but just as we talk, we'll probably get to sacrifice, you know. But this might not come up then for me. But if you don't take care of your health, you're really going to just end up putting yourself in trouble sometimes along the line. And that's because, and you can't just be looking at self when you think that it's only as much as you can do for yourself that that will make you successful in your career. So knowing this, that there's so much I can do for myself in the sense that you just hurt your health, you know, if you don't go to the gym and if you don't do exercises, you don't connect well with families. I mean, the one of families, that's one that I know that it was just, I mean, I'd always just been a family person. So that one is just right in the middle of it. But so outside outside work right now, I go to the gym regularly and I try to just balance to set priorities, really, to set priorities, I set priorities, I reorganize priorities, I'm flexible with myself, I'm kinder with myself. I don't put goals that I can achieve and then nice to a friend, hard on myself. So right now, that is how I've actually been able to maintain a more of a balance. Then I set boundaries. I prioritize tasks, revise priorities, and then this task, I actually revise them regularly.
Thank you very much. So, from what you are saying, you are saying that what we do is hard work. Everybody
Yeah,
here works
yeah,
so hard. And as
yeah,
much as you are working so hard, you must prioritize self care.
yeah,
Social support must be key because if we have that social support, we're able to lean on people when we are getting exhausted. Exercise is also another important thing. Setting priorities, being flexible with ourselves. Some of us are very hard on ourselves. I used to do that. but I've also learned flexibility on ourselves and then setting boundaries. Thank you very much. Has this work-life balance always been like this? You hinted that it's not always been like this. Could you tell us the point where things change, how things used to be, and at what point you decided to have a good work-life balance?
Well, how did things change? So in Africa, you know how it is. When I was working full time, on when I had to be working on other people's research, and I wanted a PhD. So you're a you're a mother, you're full time, you're a full-time PhD student, and you're a full-time, and you're working full-time, because if you don't work, how are you going to sponsor yourself? So this was one of the things that, I mean, that was what used to happen before, and I was just driving myself. There was nothing near balance in my life. I grew up in an environment of, my mother is a teacher. My mother teaches us that if you work hard, you will be rewarded. And that's actually true. But what I didn't learn was the fact that it's not just about hard work. I mean, I can say that it's not just about hard work. Even my life today, where I am today, I've got grants. My grants, I can't say it's solely hard work. But of course, if you don't work hard, you don't get things. But I'm just saying, people will call it an element of luck, but I won't call it luck. I will call it blessed. So that is just it. So before, I just keep driving myself like that. And actually, people just knew me, and I just thought it was a good thing then. I mean, I had colleagues, because I've been involved in a lot of collaboration. So like, you are collaborating with people in America, and you can imagine the time difference. But people were always very sure that you send an email at any time of the day, Lola will pick it. I used to just boast in those kind of.
We are losing Lola. We are losing. Okay. I think it's next week. Lola, we lost you at a point. Lola, please, if you can hear me, kindly adjust where you are. The network is not helpful. I was actually enjoying what she was saying. Lola, okay, we lost her. We lost her. But we pray she comes back quickly. But while she's gone, let me mention some few things that I have picked from what she's saying. She's saying that it's not always been like that. And like she mentioned, I believe that a lot of us wear the cup of Lola before today. A lot of us are working in several domains. So you are a mother, you are a PhD, full-time student, you are a full-time worker, somebody's daughter, a whole lot. We wear several caps. And what she is saying is that we may boast in the fact that people know us because we wear those caps, or we are popular because we wear those caps. But at the end of the day, it is not just about hard work. You must also take care of yourself. So I'm praying she comes back. But whilst we wait for her to come back, Dr. Jermaine is on the line. If you have any question, you can please ask Dr. Jermaine. If you have any questions for him, raise your hand and let's go. Pardon me?
There's one there from Blessings in the
yes.
chat.
Great. Blessing, please. Your hand is up. Let's hear from you. And then Angela's hand too is up. Blessing.
Yes, Lola. Blessings had asked, he likes the tip, taking yourself out of your comfort zone. How can someone identify his or her comfort zone?
Okay. What's the question? Okay. Okay. So, Dr. Jermaine, kindly help us with a blessings question. I like the tip, taking yourself out of your comfort zone. How can someone identify his or her comfort zone? Dr. Jermaine, please help us with this question. Please unmute and help us.
Okay.
Great.
So I will share my view, but I don't think I have mastered it all. But what I think is life has its own tendency to get you out of your comfort zone. If you think of it that way. So I think by getting yourself out of your comfort zone also looks at perhaps maybe setting goals for yourself. I can give you an example. Say, for instance, you are a PhD fellow, an MPhil fellow, maybe you are expected to publish one paper out of your thesis, right? But taking yourself out of the comfort zone is to being strategic in terms of your career planning to say, what if I get 2 to 3 or 4 publications beyond the minimum requirement of one? Because if you are in your comfort zone, you just work on one publication, that's it, you get, you get your PhD, your doc and all. But for what you shall also observe is that I think life kind of starts with once you get the qualification. So what? If you think of it, you are also getting into a field whereby maybe there are thousands of PhDs. So what distinguishes you, from the past PhDs? So in a way, if I can use that illustration, is to have clear career goals. If you are going to be, looking to set yourself in a certain career trajectory, what it also means is that for you to be able to compete for grants and fellowships, you need a lot of, a very strong track record. So if I'm to use that particular illustration, it could be maybe if you are required to do one publication, do 3 to 4. That would definitely stretch you because it's not going to be easy. But in a way, it takes you out of your comfort zone, and ultimately, it would also then feed back into your own career growth here. So in a nutshell, it would be taking doing things that you wouldn't ordinarily be expected, but then that are strategic for you to be able to build your career. Over.
Thank you so much. So stretching yourself beyond limits. Stretching yourself beyond limit. Thank you. Angela, please unmute and ask Dr. Jermaine your question. Now, Biggie, please,
Okay.
if Lola comes in, let me know.
Lola's
Okay,
back
sure.
now.
Lola is
Well, I'm
back.
back, but I think it might be better for me to put my video off. It's really very
Okay, that's
unstable
fine.
here, and I'm using.
Yes, that's fine, please. Thank you. Oh, you are welcome back. But you were making very critical points. So you talked about the fact that we wear many caps sometimes, and sometimes you may enjoy the popularity of wearing those caps, but it may have a toll on you. So please continue. So the question was on whether your work-life balance has changed over time.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Can you still hear me? Just let me know when you're not hearing me again because the internet. I'm actually using 2 modem. I'm in Nigeria right now, so sorry about that.
Sorry,
Okay.
that's fine.
So yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it changed over time because then I wasn't so smart. I was much younger and I thought I had to just keep running. I was actually even the time I was actually working with WHO, I was still working full time in the university here. So I mean, I money was coming in, but it was bad, and it was even at the time I was doing my PhD too. So you can imagine what that will do for physical and mental health. And I still had my 2 boys, which I had to just make sure I was taking care of. So that, but you see, with time I learned, but it wasn't like I mean, people around me didn't understand. because I work with very senior people that I really know, people that are like their whole life is research. I mean, that's a social life. So it was just okay for me. But now I've learned that there's more to life than that. That apart from my family, it's very important I maintain a balance. I realize that it's only when I'm healthy that I actually can do so much. It's when I'm healthy that's when I can even work. So now what I do is that managing my multiple priorities. I certainly prioritize personal well-being. Which is like, to me, is like, that's like a delicate juggling act. But somehow I think I'm somewhere right, maybe not very well there, but I mean, at least I'm at a place where it's working for me. And I've learned that clear communication, before we come from a setting where, I mean, I'm just being very real here, because we come from a setting where your boss gives you things to do. They don't care whether you're doing a PhD. They don't care for your PhD. So I now had to learn that, that if you're so afraid of people or you just want to remain in the good book, you really can just hurt yourself. So I've learned about clear communication. You communicate with people, you're respectful, but let them know that you set boundaries. I've just realized that it's possible for you to still do your work well and set boundaries with clear communication, time management. Those are the things that and then it's very important to know when to ask for help.
Great.
I think one of
Great.
the issues I
Great.
had then was one of the issues I had then was trying to do so much so that they rate you very high, which was, I mean, see, I'll tell you the truth. All those things, people thought it was working for me because it actually put me on it actually put me on a very high pedestal among the people I work with, even helped me in global mental health community. But it wasn't, in the long run, personally, it wasn't something, I wouldn't say it's a place that I should have gone to. So now I know when to ask for help and say that, okay, all this task is too much for me. And then I can delegate. We have to learn that to delegate to people. And so those are just the ways that I clearly maintain a balance now. Yeah. Don't know whether I help somebody, but that's it.
Oh, thank you so much. So, from what you have said, what you are telling us is that you learned from experience. You realize that doing all the things you were doing at the time was having a toll on your mental health and your physical health. And so, at a point, you had to prioritize because you realize that there is more
Yeah.
to life than what you were doing. And that if it's
Yeah.
only when you are well that you can be able to make impact on what you are doing and on other people. And so by prioritizing your
Yeah.
well-being, you now communicate clearly. And I'm sure that you are guided by the Eisenhower priority matrix. You delegate, and then we ask for help. A lot of us, sometimes it's we feel we have it all figured out. That is the natural tendency. But we must be deliberate about asking for help when we need it. Thank you so much for these insights. Now, kindly tell us about the sacrifices and maybe the regrets on this journey.
Yeah. Well, if you talk about regrets, you see, that's the interesting thing. I wouldn't say they're regrets. They were dumb move, but they were dumb things to do, but they're not really regrets like that. Yes, I've made sacrifices both in the short run and in the long term. In the short term, I've prioritized work commitment over personal time, missing social events and leisure opportunity. Like I said, it's actually made slim my social network outside work. But over the long term, and then I would say over the long term, I've adjusted my lifestyle and made trade-offs in my personal life to meet the demands of my career. And then while all these have been challenging, you see, these sacrifices have been essential to my professional growth. So, I mean, these were things I had to learn from. I don't think anybody could have helped me. I mean, those were things that I thought were a priority that time. I thought, oh, that was the only way to go about it. So I did what I thought was smart. Then I did it to the best of my ability. My head might have been dumb, okay, but my heart was right. So because of that, there's actually no regrets. I just adjust, and now I can strike a better balance. So that is it. So, and looking back,
Thank you.
I've set clear boundaries, and things are getting things are I won't say I'm right on top of things, but they're better now. Yeah.
So on what you said about the regret, can I then say that you these maybe mistakes or regrets are actually stepping stones for learning how to do it better? Can we say that? Hello, Lola. Wow, Lola is gone again. Lola. Ish. Lola.
Hello.
Okay, great. Great to have you
Hello.
back. Yes, please. I can hear you clearly. Lola.
Sorry about that. I can't really hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly.
Oh.
Can I go
Hello.
ahead? Yes, Lola, we can hear you clearly. Oh, okay. Then, hello, Lola. Okay. Because of the challenge we have now, can we let our questions flow? Maybe Dr. Jermaine is still on the line. He will support us through. We have few minutes to go. So maybe if you have any questions, or you also want to share, any of you want to share, who has a question can raise your hand, and then, or even in the chat box, put whatever you want us to know over there.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry. I mean, I was hearing
Oh,
you.
great,
I was hearing you
great.
on and off. I heard you said something about
Okay, so
you were asking.
I was suggesting that the what we will call regrets were actually stepping stones for learning how to do it better this time.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I will actually say. That's why I say that. I mean, I really can't call them regrets because it was just like I could call them learning curves. I mean, they were not terribly great curves, but they were learning curves. And these were things that made me, now I can really I can chat that, okay, so this is what I want for my life. I mean, I still see some of my friends are still on this race, and trying to grab so much, trying to be so prominent, trying to, your name is known here, there, you know. But I've seen that there's more to life than that. I want something more. I want a better balance. So that's why it's not really regret in that time.
Great, great. So, I would ask whether you have any advice for young researchers or early career researchers.
Yeah, very brief advice, I hope, is that, I mean, people should establish clear boundaries, by prioritizing quality work and scheduling time for self-care. I think it's very important to build a strong network of mentors and peer that can help you reassess priorities and maintain balance throughout your career, because I'm one person that I will say that I've benefited so much from mentors. I have mentors. And then, of course, like Jamin was saying, even when you get to a place where you have mentees, you're going to learn from your mentees. So how much more your peers? So those are things I would just say, tell. And then one important thing is that just look out for opportunities. If you want to have a research career, for example, and you're planning that, okay, at some point you want to submit a training fellowship or something like that, don't wait until don't wait until NIH or Wellcome Trust brings something out before you start writing. put your thoughts on paper. I mean, put your things, have some kind of organization, block some time for what you want to do, for the kind of research, the area you want to. So that makes it possible that if there is an announcement, a call for announcement or things like that, you can seize opportunities. So those are the kind of advice I would like to give to people right now.
Great. So I will summarize. What you are saying is that we must set clear boundaries for ourselves. We must prioritize quality work, meaning we must put ourselves in what we do. Self-care, learning from mentors, mentees, and peers, looking out for opportunities, and planning ahead on our careers. Thank you.
Yes,
So the
teacher.
last
Thank you.
one, what are your reflections on your effort at work-life balance?
Yeah. What did you say? Sorry, you said?
I said, what are your reflections on your effort at
Hello?
work-life balance? Yes. What are your reflections on your effort at
Oh, sorry, I
work-life
can hear you, but
balance?
I thought I had reflection, so I'll
Yes,
just go
please.
on.
Yes.
I hope you guys
Great.
can
Go
hear
ahead.
me.
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Oh,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Please go ahead. Your
Yeah, I mean,
reflections on.
I think it's very important to remember that work-life balance is an ongoing process, not a destination, you know? And that's setting realistic expectations for yourself. I will still maintain be flexible with yourself. Ask for help when needed. When needed, these are very key because that's what has helped me. I mean, I will not say I'm a standard, but we're here so that we can just learn from some other people's lives
Learning.
and
Yes.
hopefully not make the same mistake. And taking time to reflect and adjust as needs evolve is very crucial for long-term well-being and success. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, flexibility and seeking help when we need it. Thank you so much, Lola. And then Jermaine. I think that we've had very wonderful experiences shared this afternoon. Adioye says that it is possible to still do your job very well and set clear boundaries. Thank you, Dr. Lola, for this. Any questions, anything you want us to um, take home, probably, or any input? Dr. Lola is here. Dr. Jermaine is here. I'm also here. Biggie and Steph are also at the background. Anything you want us to know before we go? Questions to are welcome. Great. So Biggie and Steph, I guess we don't have any further questions or inputs. So I guess you can take over. Steph and Biggie, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I also want to say a big thank you for Jermaine and Lola for making this happen this afternoon. God bless you.
Thank you, Joanna. Now you're clear, just when we're about to finish.
Okay. Thanks very much, Joanna, for facilitating the session. 2 hours can be long, but it was really interactive. Thanks very much, Lola, for the experiences. Thanks, Jermaine, for making time. We know you are very much busy, but you made time and shared your experiences. We hope they were really useful to our new fellows, and just maybe to them that the two of you are also going to be mentors to some of them in our mentorship scheme. So we really appreciate your time, Lola and Jermaine. And Lola, hope you are enjoying Nigeria back home there. I think with that said, we can end here. We can meet for the next session. I think Steph has shared a calendar invite. Many thanks to Steph for the coordination on the ACES program. Otherwise, thanks very much to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for making time. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.